former Eagles great. I guess they have a post-game show on NBC Sports Philadelphia. He said, I have never been more ashamed to be associated with the Philadelphia Eagles than I am tonight.
Wow.
Seth Joyner. Let's bring in our very own Seth Joyner, and that's Andrew Gundling, a born and bred a Philadelphia young man, and loves the Eagles, loves the Sixers, loves the Phillies, loves the Flyers, loves Philadelphia things. And just in our pre-show conversations, Andrew, it doesn't seem like you have that much of a problem with what they did.
No, I mean, look, I understand the outrage. It was embarrassing. I get why people feel the way they feel about it, but ultimately the Eagles, no one wants to hear this, but the Eagles' obligation is to themselves. And I know you keep saying they were invited on national television. First of all, there's no invite. The Eagles would have declined if it was an invite. They wanted no part of being on national television. They just wanted this season to end. So they basically made the decision that regardless of national TV or not, this is what is in the best interest of us. And you can mock the difference between picking 9th and picking 6th. Oh, where does it end? Well, you don't know what their needs are. If they're a team that sees Devontae Smith and Jamar Chase, two of the top-rated college receivers of the last 10 years, those two guys are available at 9. Probably neither of them will be. At 6, one of them almost definitely will be, and they desperately need that. Or if you look at their quarterback situation, Carson Wentz is demanding a trade. Jalen Hurts, we don't know what he is. So who's to say that they haven't ruled out the possibility of picking high to take another quarterback? You could say that's a bad decision. Right. All they do is draft QBs, but from 6...
Were you rooting for them to lose yesterday or win?
So last night, basically, I was normally, football's an extremely emotional game. Last night, though, them losing, I was unemotional about it. I wasn't disappointed that they lost. I was happy that they had a higher draft pick. I was fine with them losing yesterday.
But here's the thing. As a diehard fan of this team, all right, your organization has been embarrassed today.
Yeah, I see that.
On one of the biggest platforms there is in sports, all right, where you've got former players ripping them on their own post-game show. I mean, to what end are you willing to go from 9 to 6, still not knowing whether that pick is going to end up even panning out? So what are you willing to do? What are you willing to sacrifice? What integrity are you willing to flush down the toilet bowl for moving up 3 slots in the draft? This is getting ridiculous now, where teams are willing to throw away seasons to move up in the draft. Just give up, take a knee for the better draft pick.
Well,
what about them now? What about the moment?
What about
what made you a fan?
The Eagles didn't throw away an entire season. For one quarter of the season, they played a third-string quarterback. That's what happened last.
I'm just talking about in general. But look at your reputation has been soiled. I'm sorry. You might not think so. You might not care. But right now, you're being laughed at by the National Football League. And for what? And if that pick doesn't pan out, you'll be laughed at even more. You don't think this could have long-term ramifications for this organization?
No, absolutely not. That I wanted to bring that up, too, because that I fully disagree with. There's parts of this that I see what you guys are saying, but this idea that now guys won't want to come there, to me, this is not even a scintilla as bad as what the Giants did, removing Kurt Warner at 5-4 to play Eli Manning and tank the rest of the season and give up on the rest of the season.
That was never embarrassing. They were never publicly flogged for that. There were veterans that were disappointed.
That's the media's fault.
There were veterans that were disappointed, but it ended up playing itself out because Eli ended up needing that time, and then they go to the playoffs the next year.
And
it would have been further embarrassing if Eli didn't work out.
Who's to say that this is not just as likely to pan itself out for the positive, that number 6 pick does turn out to be a game-changing player for them? Jalen Hurts was mad last night at the Eagles for taking him out, and I totally get it. If they use that 6th pick to take a number 1 wide receiver for the next 8 to 10 seasons, I think things are going to be smoothed over between Jalen Hurts and the organization.
If it doesn't
pretty
work
quickly.
out, then they'll be tanking again to get another better pick. It's just a vicious cycle. It just annoys me to no end. I understand you looking for a silver lining because you've got to live with this because this is your team. But Michael, you get what I'm saying? To embarrass yourself to that point to go from 9 to 6.
Well, I feel this. I understand where Andrew's coming from, and if I was Andrew, where the immediate reaction was so loud and monstrous against the Eagles, I would also probably find a line to defend. I will say this, though. No, I don't think free agents will say, I don't want to go to Philadelphia. They're losers now or anything like that. Where I do really agree with Don, though, I do think karmically it's terrible. I do. Karmically, to have a moment that literally we've been watching football, all of us, everyone who was affected by this, has been watching football their whole lives, and had never seen a move quite like this, where it's a competitive football game with a lot on the line, and in that moment, you do something so egregious to try to lose. Karmically, Andrew, I think it's terrible.
Well, let's talk about karma then, because who was the beneficiary of this last night? Washington. And what was the story that came out about them this past offseason? That they're one of the most poorly, horribly run franchises in sports with the most deplorable owner.
And how has that worked out for us?
They just won the division. It worked out. Your division champs. Where's the karma?
Wait, hold on. They won the division this year in the worst year ever. We've been absolutely awful for the entire run of Snyder.
But I'm saying
if you want to argue karma, the only change that you would say is this year what they do. They finally changed the name. And then they won the division. They did something they should have done morally and finally got benefited by.
And who's your owner? It's still the same guy. All the bad stuff that's gone on, it's still the same guy.
Now you're reaching.
How is that reaching?
This is now a reach. Because what happened yesterday was about integrity of the game.
You're telling me the karma is the reason.
Because they disrespected the game. They disrespected the game of football.
Karma is something that you can't touch, you can't quantify. It's hard to. I mean, we're talking voodoo now. The bottom line is there was a way to do this. Start Nate Sudfeld. Why even play with Jalen Hurts? You've seen him play at 3 games. You've got your opinion on him already. Why didn't they just start Sudfeld from the very beginning? By starting Sudfeld and having him play the final quarter of the game, it was so ugly. It was thrown in your face. There's a way to do this without being attacked for it.
And you know what? You're right, Michael. Even though I disagree with tanking, at the end of the Dallas loss, you could have said, all right, we're calling off the dogs. We're going to start Sudfeld. We didn't get. He's coming off an injury. He hasn't played since 2018. We're going to want him to play. That would have changed the line, right? NBC would have never gone to the game, right? And it would have just been one of those afterthoughts, and nobody would have thought anything of it. It would have been filed away like Kansas City and Pittsburgh, who from the very second told you they were going to do what they were going to do. That's why it affected the line. That's why the Browns were a 10.5-point favorite yesterday, because of the fact that everybody knew the Steelers were going to call off the dogs. That's why Kansas City was like a double-digit underdog in their game, because everybody knew the situation. That would have gone down much easier than to have a 17-14 game. You sucked the nation into thinking this was going to be a classic final and to decide who's going to go to the playoffs and who's not going to go to the playoffs, and then the plug was pulled on national television. You publicly embarrassed yourself to move up 3 slots. I hope you pick Lynn Swann with the pick, because that's what it would have to be
and you
to
know
justify embarrassing yourself on national television in front of the entire world. Peter's right. It's unprecedented. To go up from 9 to 6, it's so embarrassing. It's ridiculous. Just admit it. My franchises embarrass themselves all the time. I got no problem admitting it.
That is a fair point.
It was the first thing I said. When
Take
you brought
the
me
L!
I said already, Don, it was embarrassing. Don't scream at me on the show.
Don't defend them. You're sitting here and you're defending them. You're bending yourself like a pretzel to defend them. They're wrong. It was the wrong thing to do. It was embarrassing. Now move on. I'm not telling you not to be a fan anymore. I get it more than anybody. Don't defend them. It's not defendable. It's embarrassing.
And also, when you talk about moving from 6 to 9, here's a perfect example, all right? The Eagles had the 21st pick last year, and they chose Jalen Reagor, right? Or Reagor, however you pronounce it. The 22nd pick was Minnesota. You know who Minnesota took? Justin Jefferson. 88 catches, 1,400 yards. It's what you do with your draft pick. So 6 or 9, they had the higher draft pick, and the team after them took the better player. 6 to 9 is not a reason to embarrass yourself publicly on national television. 6 to 9. Now, I was all for the Jets losing every game after they won 0-13, and I think those 2 wins are going to end up hurting them. But 6 to 9, you're willing to put your franchise in such a bad light for 6 to 9. Wow. Not a good look. Not a good look.